Good morning, ladies. How's it going? I'm gonna hold off a sec before I get started and just let you guys hop on, give you a minute. As you can see, I was really excited because I'm doing this on a Saturday morning, which normally I do them on like weekday evenings. And so I was like, cool, if I do it on Saturday morning, like Anthony will be home, he can deal with the dog. And it's 4th of July weekend, so it's a long weekend, so I was like, this will be perfect. And then he ended up having to work today. So Wheeze, baby Weasel, he just kind of like woke up. So I'm hoping he won't be too like psycho and annoying while we do this, but we'll see how it goes. But hopefully he's chill. Right now he's entertaining himself. But he's always my sidekick when I'm working. So anyway, when you do hop on, let me know that you're here. Post below, say hi, say where you're from if we don't know each other personally. Would be awesome. Yeah, I'm super excited to chat with you. This is actually the first one of these I've ever done. I do a lot of coach opportunity webinars, but I haven't really taken the time to do challenge group webinars, and I'm excited to do this because I reach out to people all the time, inviting them to my accountability group, and they're like, wait, but what is that? Even though I talk about it all the time, but I get it. You know, for me, it's what I do for a living, so obviously I know all about it. I don't think twice, but that doesn't mean that everybody else knows what I'm all about. So anyway, I'm gonna get started, and you guys can just hop on and off as you need to. Hopefully you grabbed a cup of coffee or tea or something to get your morning started right. So my name is Britjasperson, and I am a teen Beachbody coach. I am a wife to my husband Anthony. I am a fur mama to this crazy man who runs my life. I am a daughter to my parents who I hang out with on the daily. They're for sure my best friends. And I've been coaching for a little over 2 years now. And so what I'm going to do for this webinar, just to give you a vibe of where I'm going with this, I'm going to tell you about my story. I have a very long history with health and food and weight and all that good stuff. So I'm going to dig into kind of how my life has played out and like what has brought me to this point. And then from there I'll get into the technicalities of what exactly is the challenge group, how does it work, I'll talk about price, everything that you need to know to make an informed decision about whether or not it seems like a fit for you. Also, do forgive the way that I look, but a lot of coaches that like prepare for these webinars and want to look really nice, and for me, the thing I love about coaching is like it's flexible. I do it virtually and on my own time, so I do it from bed with my morning hair and no makeup on, and this is the real me. This is me most of the time, so I just kind of rock it. So hopefully you guys aren't offended by my bedhead. So basically, as early as elementary school, I remember struggling with my weight. I remember always noticing that I was like thicker than the other girls and that I looked different. And I really, honestly, as a young kid, which is strange because I'm not so much this way now, but I had a really big sweet tooth. Like I remember my mom kept, this is so weird, but my parents kept the snacks in the dishwasher. We didn't use our dishwasher. It was like a glorified cabinet. And I used to like sneak candy and then like hoard it in my room, and then I would like eat it while she was in the shower because I was, you know, she was a good mom, she tried to regulate, but I was just really sneaky about it because I had like a sweet tooth for sure. And my grandma did too. She was a diabetic, so I guess that's not super shocking. But yeah, so I remember in 6th grade though, like I was always a little thicker, and then around like 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, my weight just got like higher and higher and higher, and I just got chubbier and chubbier. And I remember in 6th grade, we went to 6th grade science camp, and we had to do the stupid square dancing. I don't know if any of you guys had to do that crap, but it sucked. And they like let the boys ask the girls to dance with them, and like unsurprisingly, no one asked me to dance with them. And so whoever was unpaired, they would like pair up with a partner. So I got paired up with a partner. Totally humiliating in elementary school. I doubt they even do that anymore. But you know, we were done with our square dance, and my partner was walking away, and I remember him saying to his friend, I had to dance with some fat girl. And like that was the first time where I was like, wait, I'm some fat girl? Like I always knew I was a little different. I always felt a little self-conscious, but that like really put the label on me, the fat girl, you know, and I felt like even more self-conscious and even more different after I heard that. And so I remember in the summer between 6th and 7th grade, I was like, I'm going to a new school, I'm going to junior high, I want to look good, I want to feel good, I don't want to be that fat girl anymore. And so I remember talking to my mom and being like, hey, like, what do I need to do to look really good and feel rocking on my first day of junior high? And she was like, well, 2 things. She was like, let's start walking the neighborhood together. like, we can go and we can get some exercise and I'll help you burn off some calories. And so I started getting this message really young of like calories was the message I was being taught. And it wasn't anything my mom did wrong. It was just that was what was being taught for health, and that was what was being taught for weight management at the time. So that's what she was teaching me, and that's how she maintained her weight, was calorie counting. So I started thinking about calories. I started walking with her at night. And at the same time, I actually went through puberty, so I went from being like a chubby little girl, and in 3 months, literally from 6th to 7th grade, I lost a ton of weight. My body completely changed, and I went from like little chubby girl to like curvy woman like that, to the point where my best friend did not even recognize me on the first day of school. Like, I walked up to her and I was like, "Hey, Amita," and then she looked at me like, "Who the hell are you?" And I was like, "It's Brit," you know, and she's like, "Oh my God," like I completely transformed that summer between the exercise, the calorie counting, and going through puberty. And so the crazy part, I was feeling super good. Like, I felt really cute, but at that age, most girls are going through like the skinny teenage phase, you know? And so I still got called fat all the time because curvy was not a thing back then. Like, now curvy I think is more accepted, but back then it was like the golden age of like bleach blonde hair, huge boobs, and like a anorexic thin body. So my body still wasn't what was in vogue, and so I was still being told I was fat, even though I completely was not fat at all. So again, this kind of perpetuated this cycle of me just like feeling different and like I didn't fit in, and feeling like something, kind of being told the message like something's wrong with my body, like no matter what the hell I do. So at 14 or 15 years old, I actually ended up getting molested, and that sent me into like this complete spiral. So within 2 weeks of getting molested, I went to the ER for my first symptoms of what I now know to be an autoimmune disease. I did not know at the time what was going on. I just knew something was wrong. Sorry, it's like Weasel's big ears in the front. I just knew something was terribly wrong with my body, and doctors really couldn't help me either. And I ended up going on this huge journey trying to achieve, I don't even know that I could say the word diagnosis at the time. I was more of just like I thought you go to the doctor, they figure out what's wrong, and they give you a pill to fix it. So I'm like, I'm at the doctor, figure out what the hell's wrong and give me the pill to fix it. Like, I couldn't understand what was going on with me or why I felt so horrible all the time. And so that was like a 2-year journey of me really trying to figure out what was going on with my body. And unsurprisingly, after getting molested and going through this embarrassing health journey, I ended up with depression, anxiety, and body dysmorphia from all of the trauma. So I go through, for my health, I go through 2 colonoscopies, I go through all these different, blood tests, nothing. For 2 years, nothing, until I finally just give up. I'm like, obviously, I just have to live like this. Doctors can't diagnose me, they can't help me. They kind of roughly told me, like, yeah, we know that you have symptoms, but like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, you're kind of a crazy person, was the implication. So I'm like, okay, well, I have to handle this from like an emotional standpoint. And I remember my mom telling me for a while, like, you're depressed, you need to talk to somebody. And I was like, no, I'm good. Like, that was insulting to me. Well, one day we went to visit my grandma at the hospital, and there was this magazine, and it said, like, do you have depression? And I was like, oh, I'll read their stupid quiz. And it's just one of those ones, like, check if you have any of these symptoms. And it was like a list of 10 or 12 things. And I think I checked off all but one of them. And I don't know why that got through to me, but I was like, holy shit, I have depression. So I told my mom, I was 16 years old, I was like, I need help. Like, I'm totally stuck. I don't know how to get out of the hole. And so we were like really uneducated at the time about what the difference is between a counselor, a therapist, a psychiatrist, psychologist. So all we know is there's kind of this hierarchy, like you're a counselor or a therapist, and then a step up is psychologist, and then a step up is psychiatrist. So my mom's like, oh, we'll go for the big guns, we'll get you a psychiatrist, we'll make sure that this all gets handled for you. Well, we didn't realize that psychiatrists just kind of like throwing medication on it. They're kind of like a Western medical doctor for your head. They don't want to really talk it out or support you. They're just like, here's your medication, I'm making sure you're not suicidal, okay, we're golden, here's more medication, So I go to this psychiatrist, and I'm trying to genuinely get help. And I'm telling him what's going on with me. And at the time, have you guys ever heard the term pro-Ana? It's like a thing with young girls, well, not just young girls, but obviously, but stereotypically with young girls, where they idolize anorexic people, and they just like look at anorexic people and they're like, that's my goal, like that's how I want to look. So I was that before that had a term. I just really like looked at people who were starving themselves, and I thought, oh my God, I need to look like that. Like, that's my goal. I admire that person. Like, I want to have that kind of willpower. And I know that's, to me, saying that out loud is actually kind of embarrassing. Like, how do you even think that way? But I did. I was just really messed up from everything going on in my life. And so I started this cycle of like binging and starving. So what would happen was I wanted to be anorexic. I'm like, goals, right? Be anorexic. So I would try to starve myself for a day. And my body reacts so poorly to that. And so I would get super lethargic. I would get headaches. I just felt, I'd have horrible mood swings. I felt like shit all the time. And so I'd feel so crappy the next day waking up from all the starving that I did the day before that I would just eat everything in sight for 2 days. You know, like when you're hangry and you're like, I need potato chips or I need cake, you start craving like carbs. So that's kind of what I did. I would starve for a day and then I would binge for 2 days. And then I would beat myself up internally. Like, literally, this is how I talk to myself. Like, you're such a low-life piece of shit. You don't even have the balls to be anorexic. You don't even have the willpower to not eat like these other girls. Like, you're lower than they are. What is wrong with you? You need to starve yourself for punishment. And I would do it all over again. Starve for a day, wake up, binge. And it was just this never-ending cycle of me, like, starving, binging. So I go to the psychiatrist. I'm trying to be open with him. I'm telling him about my relationship with food. I'm bringing in drawings of nightmares. I'm having nightmares all the time. So I bring in drawings of nightmares. I bring in poetry that I've written. And he could not care less. Like, he was just so, he's like, are you suicidal? No, okay, here's your meds. And he sent me on my way. And so I will say the medication was definitely an asset to my life. I was on a combination of Wellbutrin and Zoloft. And I did that for a year. And it was so crazy because I remember going on that medication and just feeling like this weight was lifted off my shoulders. Like, I felt like I was just walking around with the weight of the world, and all of a sudden this dark cloud was just gone. And I was like, I wouldn't say the meds gave me ecstasy, but I almost felt like ecstasy because I was so free after years of like this pressure and this self-hatred and this horrible relationship with food. And so I ate like nobody's business because I didn't give a shit. Like, for the first time ever, I was like, girl, you can have that pizza. Like, treat yourself. Like, I didn't care less. And so I ate, like, I remember I was with my high school boyfriend at the time, and we would go and we'd order pizza, and I'd eat like a whole pizza by myself. And then, like, later, if I'd get hungry, we'd go to Taco Bell and get a double-decker. And then for dessert, we'd go to 7-Eleven, and I'd get one of those huge Coca-Cola Slurpees. And this was like a fairly regular thing. So I just like was eating and eating and eating because I felt like I love myself no matter what. Like, it wasn't a big deal. And so I'm about 5'3", 5'4", and on the scale, like, an average weight for me would be about 125. And I went up to, the last time I weighed at that time was 150, and I stopped weighing because that number still bothered me. I mean, honestly, to this day, I have an issue with the scale. No matter what the number is, I won't like it. So at some point I was like, 150, okay, I don't need to see these numbers anymore. So I did get heavier than that. I do not know how much heavier. So yeah, my weight went at least 25 pounds, probably 30, 35 pounds up just in that 1 year from that freedom of being on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication. So I'm going to a psychiatrist. He's giving me the meds for a year. They do help, but he doesn't actually help me deal with anything. He doesn't talk anything out with me. He doesn't help me through these emotional issues that I have. So at 17 years old, I'm finally like, I feel really good. This doctor's a fucking idiot. And so I told my mom, I'm going off meds, so I'm going to tell the doctor that I'm going off meds. So I remember going to him and I'm like, here's the deal. I'm done with this, so you can either help wean me off or I'll wean myself off if you're not on board for it, but I'm not going to be taking them anymore. So you can help me or you cannot help me. And so he's like, no, I'll help you. So he helped me wean me off the meds. And from there, I was like, holy shit, I have to lose all this weight. You know, when I'm not on the meds anymore, I had to look in the mirror and face reality, which is I've gained a lot of weight. And I will say, this is the one time in my life where I remember, like, it wasn't a big deal. Like, I was just like, just do it. Like, it's not that hard to not eat a whole pizza and a double-decker and a Slurpee all in one day. So, like, you've got this. So I started I went back to what I was taught and what worked before. So I was walking again, trying to get some exercise. I think we had a treadmill at that point, so I was doing it at home. My mom always taught me what she knew and what she was taught, which is, like, low-fat, counting your calories, and cardio. So that's what I started implementing. And, you know, okay, I think that low fat is just bad, period. There's never a time or a place for that. Understanding calorie counting and understanding that cardio should be a part of your life, yes. It's not that I'm in opposition to those things, but I'm in opposition to those things for me, because I do have something in my brain that is disordered that shoots me down a spiral when I do those things. So I did lose the weight, and it wasn't a huge deal, but over time, because I got back into the calorie counting cardio mindset, like calorie, the body dysmorphia started creeping back, and the obsessive like thoughts and feelings started creeping back. And so, who's old? It's on my computer, freak. So basically, at 18 years old, my high school boyfriend breaks up with me. And of course, that's like a blow to my ego. You know, we didn't have he's a great person, but we didn't have a great relationship. And so that part of it was okay, but it was just like, oh my God, poor me. Like, I'm such a victim. How could you break up with me? You know, that kind of a feeling. And so I started dating around, including my now husband, Anthony. I dated him at the time. But I really just kind of took like 6 months, and I made a freaking mess of my life. I just went crazy. And I think it was a combination of everything. The molestation I didn't deal with, the health issues I didn't deal with, of course, you know, my boyfriend breaking up with me and that hurting my ego. And I just think all these things like built up. I had major issues with my family, like not my parents are amazing, but my extended family. It was just a lot. And so I had this like 6-month spiral. I dated Anthony, ended up cutting it off with him in like the most rude, abrupt way on the planet. To the point where I was like, this guy will never talk to me again, because I treated him so crappy. And then I met a really great guy, and I was dating him, and then I started dating his best friend behind his back, which is super freaking horrible, and something I just wouldn't, that's not me, that's not my character, that's not something I would normally do, because it's freaking selfish as shit. But that's what I did at the time to make myself feel good and puff up my own ego. I was going to school for I was in college at that time, a community college. So I was in 15 units of classes, which is more than full time for any of you guys who don't know. And I was also working like 3 and 4 days a week at a Mazda dealership, which I effing hated, but I made pretty good money considering. And so this is how my schedule was. I was between work and school, I was like more than full time, 6 days a week. And so my one day off a week, I remember this so vividly, was Wednesdays. And on Wednesdays, there was a club called Infirmary in Garden Grove. It was a goth club. And I would spend my one day off a week going to that club and just like partying and getting wasted and dancing and staying out all night and whatever. So I was like abusing the crap out of my poor little body. It was exhausted. And I got strep throat 5 times in 1 year, to the point where the doctors were like, we don't even really remove tonsils anymore, but you've had strep throat like 5 times. Like, you get it like literally once a month. So your tonsils like might need to go. And I was so scared of that surgery that I was like, no, like, I'll get my shit together, I swear. I really did not want to get a freaking surgery. So meanwhile, I'm in this party scene, right? And so this just reinforces my body image issues. I'm seeing all these like cute thin girls in their skimpy little outfits, and I constantly play the comparison game. Was like, I need to look like that, I need to be like that. And so I really got back into the whole calorie counting, obsessing, you know, over what I was eating. My jam back then was basically to eat a 1 serving of Honey Nut Cheerios in the morning. So that would be like a 3/4 cup. Literally, I would measure it with the measuring thing. A 3/4 cup serving of Cheerios with a 1/2 cup of skim milk, again measured out, for breakfast. And then if I was starving during the day, I might do like a piece of toast with like avocado, or the whole wheat toast with avocado like smashed on it. And then I would basically starve myself till dinner, and then I'd be like, oh, I've eaten so few calories that I can like have cocktails and whatever I want, and I can go party and like not have to worry about the calories of it, right? So that was my whole strategy. Calorie, starve, so that you can binge at night and talk about how you eat like a man. So I was trying to convince everyone that I ate a lot. And so then I was like, yeah, so it kind of got me back into this like really bad cycle and a really bad relationship with food. So I get told I need the surgery. I really don't want the surgery, so that's in the back of my mind. And at one point, I just wake up and I realize I'm just acting like a piece of shit. I'm like, this is not who I am inside. I'm not a selfish, mean person. I'm not a freaking hot mess. Like, I'm stronger than this. This is stupid. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I've hurt so many people along the way. Like, I'm done. So at 19 years old, I basically ditched all my friends because I was like, none of these people are actually my friends. Like, they're all just like party people who I'm connecting with because I'm trying to fill some void. So, and I realized, like, I have 2 friends. Their names are Mom and Dad. Like, I literally live with them. Why the hell am I not hanging out with the only 2 people who've always been there for me? I started really focusing in on school. I knew that I was going to school to graduate in biology with the intention of becoming a vet. Animals always have been, always will be my #1 passion in freaking life. So I was like, I can't be a vet if I'm fucking around. Like, get it together, girl. So I started focusing on school, and I got laid off from my job, which was like the happiest day of my life. I hated that job so much. And my parents were like, perfect, collect unemployment, focus on school, get good grades, and, you know, if you can pay like the bare minimum, basically, like, we'll cover the rest, you're good. We really want you to follow your dream of being a vet if you really are ready to get your crap together. So that's what I did. And after about 6 months of kind of settling down, like I said, I literally just did school, hung out with my parents, and that was it for 6 months straight. And then, because I think I had time to actually like think and reflect and not just be busy and burying everything, I started thinking of Anthony. And I was like, man, like, I had this really good guy, and I like really epically screwed that up. I'm an idiot. And I remember I thought about it for a couple months before I said a word to anybody, because I was afraid that, like, you know, I didn't trust myself. I was afraid that I still wouldn't be serious if I really reached out to him. So I had to really give myself time to make sure that, like, I really was serious about dating this guy, you know? And so after a couple months of thinking about it, I go to my mom, I tell her, I'm like, man, remember that guy? Like, he was awesome. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. I was just going through a thing. And so she was like, well, why don't you reach out to him? And I was like, you know, and like, I was like, I could apologize, but like, you think he hates me? And she's like, it doesn't matter, Britt, like, you owe it to him. Like, you owe him that apology regardless of how he feels about it. And I was like, that's true. So at the time it was MySpace. So I MySpaced him and told him I was super sorry and what a piece of crap I was, and that I was just going through a really hard time in my own life. And I said, you know, I don't deserve your forgiveness, but it would mean the world to me. And, you know, I understand if you can't have me in your life because of how I acted, but if you can, like, I would love to have you in my life. Like, you're such a great person, and I just, like, I really miss having you around. And it's so funny. Anyone who knows Anthony, he's very quiet. And the reason he's quiet is because he doesn't like to speak before he thinks. very, very contrary to me. But he really thinks about things and wants to say the right thing at the right time. And so I saw that he read my message, because on MySpace you could see. I saw that he read it, and then he ignored me for a month. And I was like, this guy fucking hates me. Like, that sucks, but it is what it is. Like, that's what I get. After a month, he gets a hold of me. He invites me to his birthday party. I go, and then that was when I was 19 years old, and from then on, we've been together. So, thank you, Anthony, for that. So, that started the trajectory of my life going in the right direction. You know, I got rid of all the crappy people. I started adding back in good people. Definitely helpful. But at 21, I've been with him for a couple years at this point, and I realized, you know, those like health issues I was having like back when I was 15, 16, 17, they never went away. Like, I just stopped handling them because no one could help me, and it was exhausting, especially as a teenager, and everything's embarrassing, and you're busy with school and friends, and, you know, no one else was going through a medical journey when they were that age. So I was like, I just gave up. You know, I gave up on the whole thing. And so I realized at 21 years old that I still have health issues. They never stopped. They never got worse. They never got better. They were just there. And that they were like affecting my life. They were affecting my quality of life, my happiness. They were affecting my ability to feel sexy in my relationship. And I was like, this isn't cool. Like, I'm with someone who I love the hell out of. Like, I want to have the best possible relationship. So I have a moral obligation to go handle my health. So I went to a new gastroenterologist before I had seen a pediatric one. So I went to my dad's gastroenterologist and told him everything that I'd been through and what was going on. And then he was like, oh, well, I can do a colonoscopy. And I was like, no, like, I've had 2 of those. I'll show you all the results. Like, nothing is wrong internally. And then he's like, well, I mean, obviously something was wrong, but according to those tests, nothing is wrong. And he was like, he was like, that's the only way I can treat you is if I do that. And I'm like, but I'm telling you, like, I know my body. I've been down this road. You're going to do it and find nothing. What's the point? Like, can't you trust my instincts and the tests I've literally already had done? And he just refused to help me. He's like, he wouldn't give me anything. And so I'm being told, this is life. You have to live like this. It is what it is. And I was so frustrated. And I remember being like, super chronically stressed at the time. Like, Anthony and I had a really tumultuous dating relationship. Now it's not at all, but back then we fought all the time. I have these health issues going on that are going undiagnosed. I'm in school working my ass off. At that point, I was in all math and science. I was taking calculus, physics, organic chemistry, and biology. So that's what I was in at the time. So you can imagine that as a stressful schedule. And I still have these residual body image issues floating around. So I have all this stress in my life. No one can help me physically. So I'm just kind of like eating crappy food. Anthony and I went to fast food all the time. And for what it's worth, ramen was a very typical part of our diet. Because A, stress, it was gratifying. And B, because it's just fast. And we were fucking busy. We're still busy. But we were really busy. So it was just like convenient. So lots of fast foods in our diet. And on the weekends, I didn't know how to de-stress. I'm still not the best at de-stressing. It's still something I'm working on. True talk. But I was horrible at it. I had no idea how to de-stress back then. And so I just like drank on the weekends. Like, well, if I drink a lot, that counts as de-stressing, right? So it was just like still like I wasn't treating my body very well at all. And then at 23 years old, Anthony and I get engaged after being broken up and literally not speaking for 2 months. Very strange situation, and engagement is exciting, but it was very stressful in and of itself. Like, I feel like neither of us fully trusted each other. He just grabbed my hand. I felt like neither of us fully trusted each other, and so it was a really stressful time. And then he was going through some other personal stuff that caused him to kind of sink into a depression. And I'm an empath, so I take on the feelings of the people around me. And so I was just like in a really bad spot mentally. And my didn't know it was autoimmunity at the time. I do know now, but it just went to hell in a handbasket, and I acquired all of these new symptoms. Like, the old symptoms stuck around, and then I got all of these new symptoms, and I felt like crap. And so I remember going to all these doctors, and within 1 month of my autoimmune condition progressing, I actually self-diagnosed. And I told every doctor from then on out, this is what I have, this is what I have, this is what I have. And they all told me, no, you don't. You're wrong. That's not what you have. And no one could help me. And I tried every crazy powder and every crazy freaking, topical and everything I get my hands on. I was willing to try. I went to weird doctors. I did those foot bath detox things. I did everything, and like nothing was helping. And I remember my last step was I went off the birth control pill, which I did not want to do, because anyone who knows me knows that to this day, at 29 years old, I do not want children at all. Like, morally opposed to the concept. But for my health, I was like, I have to go off this pill and see if my hormones shift and it fixes my problems. And I actually got worse when I went off the birth control pill, and that was the last straw. And I like called my doctor, freaking out. I'm like, get me a specialist. Like, I went off on her, and then she calls me back, and she's like, well, like, we need to do a biopsy for that thing that you think that you have, and like see if you do in fact have that. And then, when we confirm that you don't, then I can send you to a specialist. And I was like, I don't trust your ass. You've been a horrible doctor. You've told me straight up I have an allergy and have to live with it. Fuck you. Peace out. And I found a different doctor who I trusted more, and I asked her, hey, can you do this biopsy? And she said, yeah. So I went to her and got the biopsy, and she immediately was like, yes, this is what you have. You were right. And I was kind of in a bad spot because I had so much time to research the stupid disease that I saw all the fear-mongering on the internet. And I saw how this is incurable, and how, autoimmune diseases really can't be treated, only managed, and they never go away. And this condition is super rare, and no one knows anything about it, and just all this horrible stuff, which, by the way, is largely true. And so I was devastated when you might as well have told me I had cancer. That's how bad it was. Like, I knew this disease inside and out. I was like, I am so screwed if this is the rest of my life. Like, I cannot live like this. But my doctor, who is amazing and who I adore to this day, told me there are alternative options. So I need you to go to this physical therapist who was like a specialist, and I need you to start doing acupuncture. So I was going to this physical therapist 2 days a week, this acupuncturist 1 day a week. And at the same time, I started like really digging into autoimmunity and trying to learn everything that there was to learn about it. And so I'm doing this PT, I'm doing this acupuncture, I'm starting to learn about healing from the inside out, and inflammation and all this stuff. And I'm about 20% better over the course of, it was from May of 2013 to July of 2013. I was feeling about 25% better. And I was kind of feeling like this is a lot of freaking work for not as much payoff as I want, but it is what it is, right? Then in July of 2013, Anthony and I had our annual fight. We fight every year around the 4th of July. It's tradition. And so we had our annual fight, and it really stressed me out. And I flared like a bigger flare than I'd ever had in my life. My health was the worst by far, by miles, that it had ever been. And I was so devastated because I was like, I have been putting in all this time, all this money, all this energy. I have been trying to do, you know, like alternative healing things. I'm doing everything I know to do. I thought I was getting better, and now I'm worse than I've ever been, and now it's caused my body permanent damage, and I was a wreck. And I remember, like, I had at the time like a death wish. I wouldn't say that I was suicidal. I wasn't like, I'm gonna go jump off a bridge, but I just thought, what is the fucking point of being here? I felt like cancer is at least a death sentence. When you get cancer, you live or you die. You beat it or you don't. When you have this, it's like, oh, you're going to live to be 80 and your quality of life is going to be absolute crap and you're going to feel horrible and you're not going to be able to do anything that normal people do. And I just thought, why? Like, what is the point? And I would like fantasize about like, if I could just get in a car accident and die, then my family doesn't have to live with the fact that like I killed myself. And I actually really thought that would be like merciful. Like that would be a good thing. And so it was just such a hard time. And I remember one day, my rock bottom day, very vivid, that I was in my living room and I dropped to my knees and I was like pounding on the carpet and I was just bawling my eyes out, literally screaming at God, saying, you can't do this to me. Like, you could not allow this into my life for me to literally physically rot. Like, that is not the point. That is not why I'm going through this. I've learned so much. I am working my freaking ass off. I started sharing about my journey on the internet because I was trying to help other people understand that, like, you can prevent this from happening to you. Like, I was trying so hard. And I'm like, how could you let this get worse? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, I literally remember saying the words, give me something. Like, you have to give me something. And in true universe has your back fashion, I get a call 1 hour from my mental breakdown from the doctor who does these crazy experimental stem cell injections. And they're like, hey, we hear you have this condition. We hear you self-diagnosed. You know, tell us more about your story. So I dig in with this lady. I start learning about, you know, the stem cell procedure. And I was like, you know what? This is so fucking expensive. And I'm not even talking to my husband. It was $7,000 up front. And then they harvest your stem cells, give you one set of injections, and then you get two more sets of injections over the course of 1 year. After that, your stem cells go bad. But you get 2 more sets of injections, but each time you have to pay another $1,000 for it. And it is very, very painful, by the way. Very painful. So I at this point, it was July, and we had our 1 year anniversary was in October, and we were going back to Maui where we got married, and I wanted to be so romantic, and I wanted to be all healthy, and so that was kind of why I was like trying to fight for these stem cells. And so they're like, well, our next appointment is in October. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm literally withering away daily. Like, that's not an exaggeration. And what am I going to look like and feel like in October? This is July. Will I even be alive in freaking October? Like, are you kidding me right now? And so they were like, well, this is kind of crazy, but a lot of people come in from like out of state because like we're such specialists, and you know, someone had to cancel their trip, and so they're not coming tomorrow, so you could take that appointment. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna pay $7,000 and come in tomorrow. Maybe I should tell my husband this procedure even exists to start off with. But I was like, you know, thank you so much for working with me, but that is completely not possible. We're so in debt up the ass from this already. Like, I don't even know how to like talk to my husband about it, but I need to, and I'll get back to you about the October appointments. So I message Anthony a website about the stem cell procedure, and I tell him that it exists and that it's $1 zillion million. And And he calls me a couple hours later and he's like, hey, I read that website about, you know, the stem cells. And I was like, yeah, what'd you think? And he's like, it looks good. He's like, what do you think? And I was like, I mean, I have nothing else. I have nothing else. Like, I'm literally out of options, so I don't know where else to go from here. And he was like, I think that if you want to do the appointment tomorrow, like, you should. And I was like, where are we going to get $7,000? And he's like, we'll make it happen. Like, this is your health. You need to do it. And so I called them back, and I took that appointment, and I was in the next day getting these crazy experimental stem cell injections. And so I knew enough to know that the medicine I was being given, I say that word loosely, but the medicine I was being given was not a cure for my disease. It was a cure for some of the symptoms indefinitely. It may last a week. It may last the rest of my life. You don't know. It's experimental for a reason. But I was like, I just knew that it would be a Band-Aid on the boo-boo if I didn't fix the cause of my autoimmunity and what was going on inside my body. So I kind of started changing over my whole lifestyle because I wanted to give these stem cells the best chance at doing what they needed to do. And so I performed an elimination diet to identify any of my food sensitivities. At that point I deduced I had leaky gut, which most people with autoimmune diseases do. And so I knew I really had to let food be thy medicine. And so I did this elimination diet. I started adding in so many superfoods because I was reading about how people with leaky gut tend to be malnourished, as do people with autoimmune diseases in general. And so I can add, you know, there's these nutrient-dense foods called superfoods like chlorella, spirulina, goji berry, raw cacao, bee pollen, all these different foods that are just like super, super nutrient dense in really small quantities, and they can add variety into your diet, and really they're very anti-inflammatory, and a lot of them have their own healing properties. And so I started adding these in. I just go to Sprouts and just buy fucking everything and spend hundreds of dollars every month buying all these powders and pills and concocting my own really disgusting NutriBullets every day to just try to get them down. And so that's kind of like where my health journey really started. And I also realized that the fundamental unit of healing is oxygen. And so I was like, I need to get oxygen like maximized and flowing through my body in order for me to heal from this disease. And so I recognized I need fitness. And I don't know why I actually made this choice, but I just knew that like being on a treadmill wasn't enough, that I needed something more. And what I really needed at the time was confidence. My confidence was shot. My self-esteem was like -3, because how do you have self-esteem when you're a 25-year-old with shitty health, you know? I felt like so much less of a person. I didn't feel like a whole person. And so I knew I needed confidence. So I went on Amazon and I bought every workout DVD that I could get my hands on. I was like, you know, Jillian Michaels 30-Day Shred, Jillian Michaels Kettlebell, Tracy Anderson Method, Ballet Beautiful, Pilates, and I just like bought all of these different workout DVDs that I could do from home because I didn't have any confidence in my body in general. Like, I was never an athletic person, and I especially didn't have confidence now that I was like a sick person. So I was like, I'm just gonna try some stuff at home and see like what I can do, and then like maybe see if something sticks, if I enjoy anything, and kind of go from there. And I fell in love with my kettlebell, you guys. Like, lifting a weight, it wasn't super heavy. I had like a 10 and a 15-pound kettlebell, nothing crazy, but just having that weight in my hands really started to empower me. And I started doing things that I didn't think I could ever do and working out harder than I ever imagined I would work out. And my confidence just started going through the roof. In addition to the fact that I always felt very spiritual about my workouts, because I'm like, this is when I'm working with God. Like, I know that God wants me to heal, and if I'm working out and I'm getting oxygen pumping through my body, He is going to heal me. Like, we're working together. We're conspiring together to make this shit get better. And so that's kind of how I started on the at-home workouts. So I'm gaining confidence. I start feeling better. I start moving between the stem cells and my healthy new lifestyle. Start to feel pretty well. And I started sharing about all this on social media like crazy, because I was like, I have this I really felt a moral responsibility to be like, here's what I've gone through, and I'm actually healing something that cannot be healed, that's incurable according to the internet and according to doctors, by doing these things, by eating these kinds of foods, and by cooking this kind of way, and by exercising this way, and here's the, you know, healing properties of goji, and like I started sharing all these things, right? So I'm on Instagram, and this girl connects with me. I don't even remember our initial point of contact, but I know now, being a coach, that she connected with me first. And she has an old dog, like I do, an old female dog. We had Daisy at the time. And I'm always talking about Daisy on my social media, and she's always talking about Nova. And then I go on her page, and she has all these like at-home workout videos. So I was like, oh sweet, she does like the same shit that I do, and I can like steal her moves. Like I can do her moves from home. It's perfect. So I didn't ever follow people I didn't know on social media unless they were like celebrities. But for some reason, between the old dog and the workout videos, I was like, I'm adding this chick, and I'm just gonna steal her moves, and we'll talk about puppies all day. And so this is my now bestie and coach, Melissa. And I start seeing that she is doing the same things as me. She also started talking about superfoods. She drinks superfoods, and I'm like, me too. And then she talks about how she's making money doing it. And I was like, that's weird. And I realized she's a coach. Like somehow she's made her job kind of like what I do, but she's a coach. And so at one point I reach out to her, and I'm like, what is this thing you're doing? Why are you doing the same thing as me but getting paid? And like, is what you're doing something that could help me? Because I'm already on a healthy track, but I could always like use help in refining my health journey, like figuring it all out. And so we had a conversation, and I remember like telling her like, I'm cool with the nutrition. I think that sounds great. I'm cool with the workouts. It sounds comparable to what I'm doing. You know, you as my coach, awesome. Being part of a group, not really that awesome, but I'll do it if that's part of the gig. But like this shake thing, I'm like not into it. Like I literally like, I just recently read my initial message to her, and I told her like, that works for you and that's fine, but like I will not put chemical stuff in my body. I only put like whole foods in my body. And I was kind of a dick, I'm not gonna lie. And luckily she was patient with me, and we kind of started talking about the coaching opportunity, and I was like, here's what I want to do. I want to try this 21-day fix thing you have going on, and then I'm going to see how that goes for me, and then if I like it, then, and I feel like it's something I can genuinely support and that is truly healthy, then I'll sign up as a coach, because I feel like I want to coach. Like I'm already sharing about my journey, I'm already trying to help people, and this would give me a platform to actually have tools and resources and a platform to help people. And if I could contribute to my own $35,000 medical debt, that would be fabulous. So that's how I ended up trying Beachbody and trying 21 Day Fix. And so from there, I want to get into what exactly the heck it is I do and what it is that I went through and have to offer you now. So I'm basically just going to explain to you what comes in the challenge pack and kind of describe my little story with each part of it. So the first thing that you're going to get when you sign up as a challenger with me is you score a super flexible nutrition plan and color-coded containers. So I actually have all my stuff right here, so I'm going to show you guys. So for starters, this isn't the exact nutrition plan you'll get, but it's basically the exact same concept. But it's a whole little book, as you can see. And the main parts that you need to know are this part that says find the container plan that's right for you. So all you just do is plug in some numbers that have to do with like your weight, your height, you know, your goals, blah, blah, blah. And it tells you which bracket you're going to be in with your containers, which you can see right here. Here's each color. So each color container stands for something. Green is veggie, purple's fruit, red is protein, etc., etc. You find your bracket, and it tells you how many of each you get each day. So like veggies, if you're on plan C, you get 5. Fruits, you get 3. Protein, you get 5. So that's just how many times a day you can fill up that container. So like that means that 3 times a day you're filling up this with fruit. And you can break it up however you want. You could literally have 3 of these filled with fruit, and that's your breakfast. All that means is you don't get more fruit for the rest of the day. You're going to be filling this up 5 times with a protein. So again, you can have whatever clean protein you want in this 5 times a day, broken up however you want. You could have 2 at breakfast, 3 at dinner, and not have any at lunch, or whatever, however you want to do it. So that's what I like about it, because it's really flexible, and you're not like, people are always like, so what do I have to buy? And I'm like, whatever you want. You know, you break it up however you want. And then the other part that kind of helps simplify this, let me show you. So this is like a whole page, red container, and then this is just a list of suggested foods for you to fill that up with. And in the event that you don't fill up the container, it'll tell you. So like eggs, you don't just fill up the red container with eggs. 2 eggs is 1 red portion. So it'll tell you, but for the most part, you just fill up the red container and that's it, and you dump it on your plate. Pretty simple. And I just used to cook a lot of one-pot meals. Like I do like chicken, rice, and olives, and I just kind of like deconstruct it to like measure out my portion and throw it on my plate. So I'm gonna tell you what I did want to mention that this is basically macros for dummies. Like if you guys have ever heard of people who count macros, counting macros just means you're like, it stands for macronutrient, but it's like how much protein you need versus how much fat versus how much carb. It's all about balancing your food groups essentially. That's what this is. This is macros for dummies. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to overanalyze. This is going to help you not just eat for whatever your weight loss or muscle gain goals are, but it helps you eat in such a way that you're truly, deeply fueling your body. And that is why I love this and I stand behind it wholeheartedly as someone who has suffered with malnutrition as diagnosed by my doctor and who has leaky gut. Getting in the proper nutrition is literally every single thing to me. And so I love that this isn't about restriction. This is about how many healthy whole foods can you add in and how can you find balance and truly fuel yourself and satisfy yourself. So this is the reason right here, the reason that I am no longer in the calorie counting grind and that I have a healthy relationship with food. Period. Before these containers, I was working on my relationship with food for my autoimmunity, but the only way I knew how to work on it was like, instead of thinking of what to take out and what I can't have, just add in as much healthy shit as I can. So that's why I started doing like NutriBullets and superfoods and stuff like that, but I really didn't know how to balance my food groups and really make sure that my body was truly getting what it needed. And so this is the reason I do not starve and binge anymore. This is the reason I do not calorie count anymore. This is the reason that I do not just go cardio, burn all the calories anymore. That's it. That for me was a problem solver and was a freaking game changer. And so I was gonna like look at my notes and make sure I said everything, but like I literally naturally said everything because that's actually how I feel. I will mention that I was scared that they were small because I was like, okay, like for example, protein. I'm like, so I follow a slightly different plan now. I'm trying to think. I think I got 3 or 4 of these a day. Let's see. I was getting 4 of these a day, and I'm like, that is not like a lot, right? This doesn't look like a ton. And I was really terrified that I was going to be hungry. And when I started following the system, it was literally more food than I was eating. Fact. So it doesn't look like a ton of food, but when you're filling them up over and over and over, and not just that, but when you're filling them up with food that isn't empty calories, that has actual nutrition in it, that's fueling your body, you will be beyond satisfied. So I just wanted to mention that. But again, I love this because this is how I solved my unhealthy relationship with food. So I want to talk about the second part of our challenge group, which is the fitness component. So give me a second. My computer takes a minute to connect to Wi-Fi, but I'm hopefully going to be able to show you guys what this actually looks like behind the scenes. I know that sometimes when you put like screen to screen, it doesn't come across so well, but hopefully it'll work out okay. But basically, here's how our fitness works. And this has changed. When I was first a coach, I just bought a set of DVDs for one program, and that was great. I was totally happy. But every time we released a new program, I had to purchase it, and that wasn't so awesome because as a coach, I mean, as a challenger, you don't ever have to change programs if you don't want. But as a coach, it was my job to try all the new programs and talk about them. And so I was constantly having to buy new programs, which was kind of shitty. Well, we've recently changed over pretty much our whole system. We do still offer DVDs, but we rarely lead with that because it's a waste of your money, honestly, compared to this. So what we have now is called Beachbody On Demand, or BOD. So the way that it works is we just have all of our workout programs here digitally at your fingertips. And the cool thing about this is every single workout program that Beachbody has ever released in the history of ever, every meal plan and nutrition guide, every workout schedule, and there's a lot of cool extras on here that go way beyond even what we have to offer via DVD. For example, we have Beachbody Yoga Studio where all of our yoga workouts are in one little spot. We have Fixate, which is a clean eating cooking show that is totally compatible with these and tells you how many containers each one is, so it makes it super simple. And then obviously we have our celebrity trainers like Autumn Calabrese and Tony Horton and Shanti. And so they each have a section in Beachbody On Demand for BOD exclusives, things that are not available to you on DVD. You literally cannot buy them anywhere. They are exclusively here on Beachbody On Demand digitally, and they're just like supplemental workouts, like extra things you can do. So there's literally hundreds of workouts on here, dozens of programs, and so many additional resources to make sure that like your nutrition is on point. So this is pretty much how we all work out now, is using BOD. And what I love about this, you never have to buy a new program. You just automatically get them uploaded to your BOD the day that they drop. And it's nice for when, like right now I'm doing hammer and chisel and it's a weightlifting program. But occasionally, like actually today, I'm super sore from my workouts this week. So I'm probably just gonna do like country heat, do something low impact, fun, dance, just to change it up and listen to my body and do what feels good to me. So that is something I absolutely love about BOD, is being empowered to listen to my body and do what feels good to me, because I do have all these options at my fingertips. And I was such a rut person before becoming a coach, but now I've learned how important variety is for your results. You know, if you're not working out at all, of course doing a workout program is a great step in the right direction. But if you want to really maximize your, not just your results as far as like weight loss or weight gain, but maximize your results as far as actual health and fitness, variety matters immensely. So this really promotes variety, and every time we launch a new program, we do a launch group and we all do it together, which is a ton of fun and forces us to all get out of our little bubble and forces us to get results. So I love that about BOD. Excuse me. The other thing about BOD is I am a huge introvert. I know that might seem weird because I'm really outgoing, but I just get super drained being around people. So for me, I needed to not go to a gym. If you told me the only way to get fit was to go to a gym, I wouldn't be fit. Period. The end. I stepped into a gym once. It smelled like sweaty boys. I didn't know how to use any of the equipment. I was like, okay, I know a couple like dumbbell workouts, but that's literally it. And I would be lost. And I was like, nope, this isn't for me. This isn't my thing. I'll never do this. And it almost made me think I hated working out, that I didn't want to go to the gym like normal people who work out. Well, it turns out I freaking love working out. I'm insanely passionate about working out from home. I need to do it from home. That's what works for my schedule. That's what works for my body. Especially when I started, I had no faith in my body that it could do anything I asked it to do. I told myself I'm not athletic, I'm uncoordinated, I'm all these things, and so I didn't have any confidence to go to a gym and test that theory out and see how bad I sucked in front of people. So for me, this was the only path. And I respect any path that people take to get fit and healthy, as long as it's truly healthy. But this works for me because I'm an introvert, and because I didn't have a ton of confidence when I started, and because I didn't know what the hell to do at the gym anyway. And even Anthony, who's more fit and more confident than me, went to a gym, and he said after he did, actually the first workout I ever made him do was 21-day fix, lower fix. He did that with me, 30 minutes versus his 2 hours at the gym he was normally doing, and he said, I just got more done in 30 minutes than I do at 2 hours at the gym, because A, I'm not waiting for equipment, and B, I'm not trying to figure out what the hell to do. Like, it's just so efficient. That's why these programs, you guys, are created by certified personal trainers. This is literally you getting a personal trainer telling you which exercises to do, which days, how often, and what foods to eat every day. And you're getting it all these different personal trainers access to this for an entire year, and it's for a one-time price, which I will get into. I will not hide that from you, but way fucking cheaper than a year of personal training, I can tell you that. So I really love this, and this has just raised my confidence times infinity, because it has forced me into variety, and variety is what raises your confidence, you guys. If you feel like crap, you need more variety, and it will make you realize you can do a lot more than you think you can. So it's completely raised my confidence, because I've had to try things that are out of my comfort zone, and it's also just completely transformed my quality of life. You know, I'm just, not only am I'm healthier, I'm happier, everything about my life is better because I have fitness as a part of it, and this is the only fitness that works for me. This is the only thing that fits for my personal lifestyle, and so they brought fitness to me into my home, and I don't need any crazy special equipment, and it takes the guesswork out of it, and I can dance one day, and I can lift weights the next day, and I can do yoga the next day, which I never will because I don't like yoga, but still, I have all these options at my fingertips, and I love it. I personally really love it. And actually a lot of coaches were not super stoked on this because it takes away some of their commissions, that people are not buying new programs all the time. But I don't get that. Because at the end of the day, like, this is making sure that for an entire year, you are hooked up with the ability to be healthy versus a 3-week program or 60-day program. Like, this is truly taking health, bringing it into the home, and helping you guys. Not only can you guys use it, but you can share it with your family. And that, to me, is transformative. If your whole family can change and get healthy, like, that's everything. So, can you tell I love BOD? Okay, so the other thing I want to talk about is Shakeology. And so this is the thing I told you I was a douche about to Melissa, because I told her I don't drink chemically protein shakes. And that is what I thought that this was, and I did not want to put this trash in my body because I thought this is not in line with my health morals that I have now. Should get this out of the way, it's like really bright. And so I told her I would order it and see what I thought, fully expecting to be like, fuck that shit. And I started reading the ingredients, and I didn't actually first start off with vegan. This is a vegan flavor, vegan chocolate. I did not start off with vegan. I started off with regular, which has whey protein, and being autoimmunity, I didn't feel super great on it, and so I switched over my second month to vegan, and I feel amazing on it. But I started reading the ingredients, and of course there's some proteins. There's a vegan protein blend, oat protein, rice protein, but then you start getting into the ingredients where I was like, holy shit. Chia, quinoa, flax, cacao powder, rose hips, pomegranate juice powder, chlorella, let me see, bilberry juice powder, blueberry, camu, chicory fiber, cordyceps, moringa, ashwagandha, chaga, all of these different things, reishi. So these are all superfoods, many of which I was taking every day as a disgusting, expensive pill or powder. I was taking 25 pills and powders every single day. And they were so gross and so nasty and so expensive, like I said. And then I got this expecting it to be filled with trash, and I'm reading it and I'm like, I'm taking a lot of these things, and a lot of these things I'm not taking because I can't afford to, but I wanted to be taking them. Holy crap. And so I was like, yeah, I'm trying this stuff, and it was delicious. So on top of the fact that I'm getting way more for my money, I don't have to take 25 disgusting pills and powders every day. And that, when you're a sick person and you have to take a bunch of pills and remind yourself you're a sick person, not a great feeling. When you get to drink a chocolate shake for breakfast, it's a pretty good feeling. So to me, Shakeology actually ended up probably being my favorite part of what we have to offer, because of how simple, it really simplified my personal journey to health. And I was so educated on a lot of the different superfoods, and I realized that, well, first of all, I keep talking about this, but leaky gut, you know, I knew I needed to deeply nourish my body to try and heal myself from having leaky gut, but I also knew that there are no neutral foods. And I hope this is something you take away, whether you want to be in a challenge group or not. There are no neutral foods. Every single food choice you ever make every single day is either healing your body or it is harming your body. You are either lowering your inflammation or adding gasoline to a fire. Period. Does that mean you have to be perfect? No, none of us are perfect. But it does mean you need to start paying attention to what makes you feel good and what doesn't, and start getting really intentional about what you're doing and what you're putting in your body. And I saw this, and I just saw the water that's going to put out the fire. I knew that I was inflammatory because of my autoimmune disease, and I knew that this was my ticket to really help lower that inflammation in my body and really start healing myself from the inside out. And I will say, we cannot make, like, I'm not a doctor, I can't make medical claims. All I can tell you is my experience and my knowledge, and superfoods have been a huge part of my personal healing process. And for what it's worth, you know, I told you about that worst flare July of 2013. Compared to my worst flare, I am like 95% better on an average day, if not more. I basically, my autoimmune condition right now is basically a non-existent part of my life. It's really not a part of my life at all, which is insane for being incurable, right? So take it for what it's worth, but something I've done between the stem cells and the lifestyle changes and the stress management has worked. So, so yeah, that was kind of my story with Shakeology. And then in addition to that, there is a actual clinical study that showed that it's correlated with weight loss. But for me, that wasn't important. For you, that might be important, which is why I mention it. But for me, I wasn't really in it for weight loss. That wasn't my goal. My goal truly was health and putting out the fire inside me. I have to say that because my favorite band's a fire inside. So yeah, that was the main thing I want to talk about there. And then the last part I want to talk about, I actually need my computer again, is about the community. So I remember talking to my coach, Melissa, and she's like, you're going to love the team. You're going to love the challenge group. This is such an awesome community, blah, 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 blah. And like, I literally remember like sitting behind my computer screen. I know, baby, we're almost there. And rolling my eyes and thinking like, I don't give a shit about your community. Like, I don't need community. I already have my own life. I already have my own friends. I don't need any more. And I just thought that like that aspect of it was like meaningless to me. But I did sorry, I have to think about my password really quick. I have like the weirdest password, so did I get it? Cool, I got it. So yeah, I remember like thinking like, I'm not into this, but I'll do it just because it's like part of the gig and like it might be my job someday. So I better get on the bandwagon, right? So I plug into this community and I automatically loved it. I honestly automatically felt like a coach personally. At the time they were done on Facebook, they're not anymore, but I just wanted to help everybody. I was like, I know about this stuff and people are asking questions and I can help them, and they're posting sweaty selfies and I love that because I'm all sweaty today and I can't sit on the toilet to pee and neither can this chick. And I just like remember like it kind of immediately clicked for me because I didn't have anyone in my life who was on a health journey. I felt, in that sense, I felt kind of alone. And then I found this whole community of people who are also on health journeys for their own different reasons. And I was like, wow, like this is kind of a game changer. And I truly believe that I've been a coach now for like 2 years and a handful of months. And I have been 100% consistent. Not perfect, but consistent. And my favorite quote right now, actually, I keep repeating it over and over, is long-term consistency beats short-term intensity. So for me as a coach, like I'd rather have you commit to a lifestyle versus like I'm going hard, I'm going all in for 3 weeks, and then I'm gonna look great in my bikini and drop off the earth. Because that's not gonna help you get ultimately healthy, you know? And so I was never consistently healthy, never, this is true, never consistently healthy in my life until I started this. And plugging into this community and seeing other people doing the same thing as me and getting amazing results is the reason that I have continued to recommit, because I'm not perfect and I do fall off, and yet I recommit over and over and over, and it gets easier over time and faster over time because I have this group of people doing the same thing that I'm doing. And so this was a huge game changer for me, and watching the other coaches and other challengers really taught me to trust the process, because always before I thought, I just need to like starve myself for a few months and work off all the calories and then I'll look like a Victoria's Secret model. And then when I didn't, I'd get discouraged and I'd stop. And I saw people who'd been on their journey for years in these groups but had lost so much weight and gained so much muscle and so much confidence and transformed their health and transformed their bodies. I was like, there's something to doing this for a long ass time versus doing it for 2 months really hard. And it really just transformed my perspective and taught me to really truly trust the process. And so I'm going into my own challenge group right now. I usually do it on my phone if I'm being honest with you guys, so it looks different. But this is my challenge group, technically. Oh, why can I not scroll? Life fail. There we go. So I'm posting in here every day a main post, and then my girls are logging all their activity. The way it works is that you come in here and you log that you drank your Shaco that day, and you log that you did your workout that day, and then I as the coach can see who is logging their stuff and who's not, so I can help hold you guys accountable. But last night I asked a couple of my girls if they could write me little reviews of their experience with me as a coach or with the programs or with the challenge or whatever. So real quick, I'm going to read a couple little reviews from my girls and let you know what they had to say about it. So this is from Ravenna, who is a challenger turned coach. And she said, Britt is a marvelous coach. She reached out to me and I immediately felt a connection. Not only did I want to sign up because I believed in her ability to help me reach my goals and believed in the products, but I signed up as a coach. I knew I had to be a part of her team. In my first 2 months, she proved what I had already felt about her and kept me motivated all the way to a 12-pound weight loss. Then tragedy struck. I lost not one, not two, but 4 people and a childhood dog in the span of 3 months. It stalled me. I gained weight. I was devastated on all fronts. Britt told me, have some compassion for yourself. Allow yourself some forgiveness. You've been through a lot. She didn't drop me because I failed. Instead, she comforted me and understood and has given me step-by-step, one-on-one instructions almost daily on how to improve where I am at, while also allowing myself time to heal emotionally. Signing up with her could be one of the best decisions you ever make. That gives me chills, you guys. It's just, I'm not a person who lets people in easily. And I feel like, you know, not to sound bad, but the best way to get close to me is by being one of my challengers or one of my coaches, because this is my heart and soul. This is my mission. And she has become one of my closest friends because of this. And we do talk pretty much daily, and I love her to death. And my goal as a coach, there's a lot of different coaches with a lot of different styles. And a lot of coaches are really focused on weight loss because that was their story. They lost a shit ton of weight. That's not my story. That's not why I'm here. And I can absolutely help you lose weight. And I have lost 11 pounds using Beachbody and about 14 inches. But that wasn't why I'm here. And so my goal is to help people learn a healthy lifestyle. Learn that you don't have to go hard and deprive yourself to get results. Just find the balance, and it can be easy. And you just have to live that easy, balanced lifestyle over time. And that's what really matters. And you know, learning to love yourself along the way is so important, because you can't have a positive journey coming from a place of self-hate. You know, you have to come from a positive place of love and loving on your body and doing this because you deserve it. And so to hear her say that is so awesome. And that shows me that I'm doing what I want to do on this earth and with this mission, which is help people transform, you know, their feelings towards themselves and their confidence and their internal health. And the weight loss is an amazing byproduct of loving the fuck out of yourself and doing kind things for yourself every single day. And that is awesome. And Ravenna, I just want to say, if you're on here, I love you. I'm so freaking proud of you. And then this next one is Victoria, who's actually Ravenna's challenger turned coach. So I love this part of being a coach, is like this kind of compound effect of like, I help a person who helps a person who helps a person, and now they're getting touched indirectly by my message and I don't even know them. I do know Victoria though, but this is what Victoria had to say. I was introduced to Brit through my coach Ravenna. I was never like, who is this person? I instantly felt like she was a friend. I've been so motivated by her that I never want to give up. I've been through my ups and downs on this journey as a challenger and as a coach, but one thing has stayed consistent. Brit has never given up on me. With her videos, messages, I'm learning to love myself, to love this journey I'm on, but most of all, I'm learning to let go of habits that I have done in the past, because Brit is helping me realize my potential. So that's, first of all, that's right in the challenge group, which is the kind of stuff you're seeing in the challenge group on the regular. You're not just reviews of me, but just seeing positive shit. There's so much negative crap out there, you guys. And what I love about this community I'm building is I bring positive people into it who are ready to work hard and work on themselves and spread love for themselves and for others. And we all support each other. And it's just a bunch of badass babes killing the game, you guys. Absolutely killing the game. And so it's so cool to be in there and see the impact that this is having on people's lives. You've seen the impact that it has on me and the impact that it's having on others. And I was actually just chatting with my girl Rachel last night, and she's lost 100 pounds over 4 years using Beachbody. This is not a story of some, you know, corporate person that they sent me a picture of. I'm talking about my friend who I had a 1-hour convo with yesterday. 100 freaking pounds. And the most amazing part, went through a really traumatic miscarriage. I think it was this year, the beginning of this year, and she kept the freaking weight off. Like, who can do that? When you're going through emotional times, a lot of us turn to food or booze or whatever. She kept the weight off even through the trauma because she has these tools and this community. So, yeah, I just wanted to like touch on that. And again, just kind of reiterate that weight loss is a byproduct of what I actually care about, which is loving yourself, mental health, teaching you guys and empowering you guys to be authentic is a really big part of what matters to me, and being fearless about who you are inside and gaining confidence. If you do all those things, weight loss happens and it's not such a fucking fight anymore. True talk. So with all that said, this to me is the total solution. So just to like reiterate what the heck it is, you have your portion fixed meal plan with your portion control containers. You have your superfoods, your Beachbody On Demand for 1 year. So you get a 30-day supply shake-o. You get 1 year of access to Beachbody On Demand, including any new releases. me as your coach and access to the private challenge group that I was just reading from. And actually, for the month of July, we're launching a new program, which is an agility program called Shift Shop that I'm so excited about because agility is my jam. I don't prefer cardio, ironically, because that was such my thing for so long. I don't prefer cardio, but Shift Shop is all about agility training, which means you're getting a lot of cardio, but your brain is working the whole time because you're having to listen to his call-outs and instructions, so it goes by so fast. Like, you do 25 minutes, and you're like, was that really 25 minutes? Because that felt like 5 minutes. And I'm also really excited about the meal plan because it changes each week. Slightly less flexible than this, in all transparency, but it takes you from like a normal nutrition plan down to your last week, your third week of the program is more of like a high-fat, low-carb situation, which I love for health and just makes me feel good. I think it's yummy. Like, I love eating that way. So for the month of July, we're starting Shift Shop on the 17th, which means you need to be committed by the 10th. You need to have your challenge pack ordered by the 10th in order to join us. And if you do that, I'm going to be doing weekly one-on-one calls with every challenger who's completing Shift Shop for the 3-week time span, just to add an extra element of support and accountability, because I really want you guys to crush it. So all of that is on promo this month for $160. The normal price is $199, but they extended the promo through the summer for $160 to score all those things I just talked about, which is freaking awesome. Because when I bought a challenge pack, I got one program with one DVD for $160. So you guys are welcome. So yeah, that was pretty much what I wanted to cover. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them below and I will get to you. But if you're ready to do this thing and you're ready to join us, again, you have from now until the 10th if you want to take advantage of the one-on-one coaching opportunity. And don't do that too often. So yeah, let me know. Either drop a comment below and tell me you're ready, or reach out via private message, or text me if you have my number and let me know you're ready, and I'll get you everything you need to get started. But I'm really excited. We're going to be doing this program on the same schedule. I'm starting on the same day as you, and we're going to be going through it, and probably also still unable to like sit on the toilet and pee like when I did my first ever program. But we're going to look damn good after and feel amazing and have confidence through the roof. So that was pretty much what I want to talk about. But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in on a Saturday morning. It's been awesome. And I'm going to let you go to enjoy your day. But you know where to find me when you're ready. See you guys.